Let's see, we remember Kublai Khan, grandson of Genghis Khan. But for us Westerners, those of us who are Western, that is, not all of us are, I'm sorry. For those of us who are Westerners, what is the significance about Kublai Khan that we want to remember him for?
Marco Polo.
Marco Polo, yeah, Marco Polo. We don't know if very many Europeans all made it all the way to China and back before his time. And we don't know if very many Chinese made it all the way from China to the Mediterranean world and back. But Marco Polo is one of the earliest records we have of a China person who made it all the way to the court of Kublai Khan, stayed there for many years, and then came back. All right. Angkor Wat is located in what modern country?
Vietnam.
Not Vietnam.
It's not.
It's not Vietnam. It's very close.
Is it Laos?
Cambodia. Yeah, you're close. Vietnam is separated from Cambodia and Laos by a steep mountain range. It's given them a separate civilization from their neighbors, but it actually turned Vietnam more toward China than it did to their neighbors to their west. But Cambodia. All right. This one is somewhat ridiculously easy, but I'm surprised how many college students don't know it. Who is the founder? Who was the founder of Islam? Muhammad. Where did Islam get started? Mecca, Arabia. It was not Saudi Arabia at that time. The word Saudi was added in the 20th century after the ruling family. But it's today's Saudi Arabia. It's the place where Islam started.
Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, okay. Now there will be about 2 or 3 questions on Joan of Arc. Who was the king who let her lead his army? Who was the king? King Charles the VII. King Charles VII let her lead his army. Oh yeah, one of you asked, and I looked it up. One of you asked who was the Pope who agreed to destroy the Templars, and I found out. One of you asked that. The Pope's name was Clement V. That will not be on the test, but you got me curious, and I've been meaning to. Yeah, anyway. Charles VII was the King of France who allowed Joan of Arc to lead his army. The 100 Years' War was fought between what 2 nations? England and France. England and France. Let's see. The story of Alibaba and the 40 Thieves, Aladdin and the Magic Lamp, they're part of the literature of what group of people? Muslims, yeah, the Muslim, literature of Muslims. Alibaba, Aladdin. The Islamic holy book is called the Quran. The European leader who conquered the Aztecs was Cortez, and the Aztec leader at the time was Montezuma. Now in South America, there are a bunch of really long straight lines that some people insist could not have been made, but except by a person observing from space. They're straight. What's the name of these lines? The Nazca line, Nazca, whatever lines. They're very, very straight lines.
How do you spell Nazca?
N-A-Z-C-A, and this time I'm looking at it. All right. Who was the Roman Caesar at the time Christ was born?
Augustus.
Caesar Augustus. You might hear that name in connection with the Christmas story. Caesar Augustus, one of the better ones.
When he was alive or when he was born? Jesus.
The Caesar who was he was emperor when he was emperor when Jesus was born. Then he died when Jesus was about 15 years old, and the next one took over, named Tiberius. I won't be asking that on the test.
Okay.
Caesar Augustus. Can you name me the woman that Julius Caesar married? Give you a hint, she was queen of Egypt. Cleopatra. Cleopatra. Please don't anybody say Elizabeth Taylor. Some of you may know she's the one who played the role. All right. Who was the Macedonian leader who conquered the Persian Empire? Alexander the Great, and I had several pupils do papers about him. He and Genghis Khan and Attila the Hun, and all three men had one thing in common. I mean, among other things, they all at one point in their life killed their brother. Genghis Khan did, Attila the Hun did. In the case of Genghis Khan, Attila was an older brother they killed, so they could be the ruler. In the case of Alexander, it was a younger one because Alexander's mother was not a true Macedonian, so the younger brother should have inherited the throne. Well, Alexander did him in. But in all three cases, the brother had more rights to the rulership than they did.
You need to remember that.
No, I don't remember that. But it's just, I'm throwing it in because it helped. This little bit of trivia will help you remember these people. They all had this one thing in common. In fact, you read the story of, I mean, I read some papers about Genghis Khan. I had to remind myself, well, no, this is not Attila the Hun I'm reading about, or vice versa. I read about Attila. Whoops, because a lot of their lives somewhat parallel. Let's see. Who was the? All right, the Peloponnesian War was fought between who and whom? Peloponnesian War. Not Carthage.
Isn't it Greece and Persians, right?
It was not the Greeks and Persians. It was. You're close.
Was the other Greeks versus?
It was, yes,
It was Athens versus
Athens and Sparta. Yeah, Athens and Sparta.
I was close.
And to me, Athens were the good guys and Sparta the bad. But of course, I hate to say Sparta won. But in the long run, Sparta is extinct. Athens has at least 2 million people. In the long run, Athens won. But in the short run, Sparta won. Who was the Athenian leader who led Athens to the beginning of the Peloponnesian War? Unfortunately, he died of a plague and didn't survive. Who was the Athenian leader who led them at the beginning of the war? Pericles. Pericles. What tended to happen to ancient democracies, given enough time? They all did what?
Collapse.
Collapsed and were taken over by dictators. Call them what you will, dictators. All right, in drama, I don't emphasize art perhaps as much as I should. Maybe next semester will. But in drama, a tragedy is a story where
the hero dies.
the hero dies. Yes, where the hero dies. What nationality is credited with inventing the novel? China. The most inventive, creative people before the year 1500 were China. I won't go over a list of the names they invented. All right. Who is called the father of history? Herodotus. 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 All right. Who said, among other things, know thyself? Some Greek philosopher.
Aristotle.
Not Aristotle.
Plato.
Socrates. Socrates is credited with saying that. All right. Which one of them said, do as I say, but don't do as I do? Who? Plato. Yeah. Plato. Do as I say, but don't do as I do. Who was the father of Alexander the Great? King Philip of Macedon. All right, there are a few popes whose names you ought to know. I put one of them on the board the other day. Pope Gregory, the calendar. Now, there's also Pope Urban, who called the First Crusade, ordered the First Crusade, Pope Urban. Pope Leo, who persuaded Attila not to attack Rome. And then the most powerful of all the popes, who set up the Inquisition, who told the kings of Europe what to do, Pope Innocent III. Pope Leo persuaded, he was the one who persuaded Attila not to attack Rome, and this is believed by some to have greatly enhanced the prestige of the papacy. Folk, I looked that up over the weekend. You know, why did Pope Leo not attack? And the book I was reading was anti-Christian. It said that actually what Attila was afraid of, a general who had defeated him earlier, was heading toward him. In addition, the Eastern Emperor had an army in the Balkans, and it would be easy for him to come over and get to him. So he was afraid of being trapped there. And also, he said winter was coming on, and Attila was afraid that his men would get sick from Italy's diseases. All three things might have made Leo want to leave Italy right away.
What did Pope Innocent III do again?
The third one, what's that?
What did Pope Innocent III do?
No. Say that, repeat the question. Oh, the Pope who persuaded him not to attack was Leo. We do know that Leo went out and talked to him. But Attila might have already decided he wasn't going to attack Rome anyway. He was in a hurry to get out of Italy. He could have been trapped there on the Italian peninsula. All right.
What about the third?
The third reason I gave was he was afraid that winter was coming on and diseases. What's that?
No, the innocent third. The third.
Oh, that is the third. All right, he's the most powerful of all the popes.
Okay, all right, that's.
Yeah, most powerful pope, ordered 2 crusades. Yeah. Yes.
I'm sorry, how many popes were there? Innocent, Leo?
There have been more than 300 popes, but I'm thinking about the more prominent
What
ones.
popes do we need
I
to
have
know?
Innocent, Leo.
Innocent III, Leo, Urban, and
Gregory.
Gregory, Pope Gregory the Great. He's the one who, it's been said if all the popes were like him, the church would never have split. Yes?
What did Pope Urban do again?
Pope?
Pope Urban.
Oh, Pope Urban. He is the one who ordered the First Crusade. The year was 1095, and don't worry about the year. Pope Urban ordered the First Crusade. Now, speaking of Christianity, there's several differences between the Eastern Church and the Western Church, the Orthodox Church and the Roman Church. What is the main one, though? The main difference between the Eastern Orthodox and the Western Roman Catholic Church, what's the main one?
Orthodox is the main.
There are 2 separate churches now, the Eastern Orthodox Catholic and the Roman Catholic Church. But what's the main difference? The Pope, the authority of the Pope. Yeah, the Pope says he's head of all Christendom. The Eastern Orthodox say no, he isn't. The patriarchs are all equal. There are other differences, but all right. With what religious group do we primarily associate with reincarnation? Buddhism, Hinduism, either one of those. With what religious group do we associate with the Quran?
Islam.
Islam. All right.